in woke crime. Interesting turn of events spurring from the Chris Cuomo firing. You guys know about that. Former CNN anchor or whatever it is you want to call him, working for Fake News Network. Turned out that he was maybe using his little platform that he had to do some interesting things regarding aiding of his brother, who was going through all of that sexual misconduct, let's call it that, accusations. Well, it looks like Cuomo is throwing the guy who he used to call brother all the fucking time, Don Lemon, under the motherfucking bus. Let's get some more information from this. I'm covering this from Blaze. Cuomo, who was fired by CNN late last year amid a laundry list of scandals, issued an arbitration filing against his former employer for $125 million, claiming the network unjustifiably smeared his reputation and named his old pal in the complaint. So it looks like we have $125 million. Cuomo is saying it is because, to be fair, it probably is irreparable damage to him. I don't know who all is going to touch him. I don't know if wasn't he on like some serious XM shit? I don't remember. I don't know if he still has that show. I have no idea. Nonetheless, he is filing and he wants 125 million racks. Well, not racks, but you get it, $125 million. As mentioned here, the network ousted Cuomo in December, following claims that he improperly helped his brother, Andrew Cuomo, despite his position as a journalist, to fight a slew of sexual assault accusations against him. But in the following, Cuomo complained that CNN gave him no reason to believe his conduct will be brought into question since the network fostered a culture in which its standard and practices were constantly moving target and frequently disregarded breaches of traditional journalistic standards and blatant breaches of journalistic ethics by Lemon and other personalities. So, again, they used to be boys, at least publicly, that's what they said, right? Publicly, that's what they said. But check this out. This is where it gets hilarious. And because they mentioned Don in the arbitration, they mentioned Don Lemon. Is what he says. For example, the complaint stated in November 2021, CNN anchor Don Lemon was widely criticized for a flagrant breach of journalistic ethics when Jussie Smollett, famous French actor, by the way, very famous and very French, at trial, that Lemon had texted him to warn him that Chicago police did not believe Smollett's allegations of suffering a racist, homophobic attack. So, CNN journalist using that loosely, Don Lemon, which we talked about this, gave a heads up to the famous French actor, Jussie Smollett, who I believe is out of jail right now, despite all of that shit. Apparently there's some appeal process, and that was, I think, why he's out on bond because of it. Like, what the fuck? Either way, yeah, that's not very journalistic, if you will. Lemon had covered Jussie Smollett's accusations and his subsequent investigation and prosecution. So intervening in the ongoing investigation by texting famous French actor was an inexcusable breach of ethics, it continued. Yet CNN did nothing. And they didn't, to be fair. Lemon was not disciplined in any way. He also mentions Cuomo complained about the incendiary comments his brother Lemon made about him in February during an in-house town hall following ex-CNN President Jeff Zucker's resignation. According to Wall Street Journal, when one employee asked Jason Kilar, CEO of Warner Media, which is CNN's parent company, if the network planned to pay Cuomo his severance, Lemon jumped in to throw water on the idea. Do you think about what message it sends to journalists in the company and also to the larger public that someone can be found to break with those journalistic standards and then get paid handsomely for it? So they throwing each other under the bus. This is what it sounds like. Like, Cuomo or Lemon said, fuck you. And Cuomo says, no, fuck you. So we want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. The complaint characterized Lemon's remarks as part of a calculated campaign to smear Cuomo and destroy his reputation. That was your boy and your brother, man. This quote right here says, the love viewers witnessed between CNN's Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo in the handout between their shows each night is real. Now they're stepping out from behind the anchor desk for a weekly conversation where nothing is off limits, with no broadcast clock to hold them back. Chris and Don talk politics and get personal. And that was a description of the project that I guess both of them were going to be a part of. And this podcast called The Handoff. Well, it looks like that's not happening. And we got ourselves a little bit of a cat fight here. Going to be interesting to see what happens. But let's just talk about the reality here. None of these motherfuckers are actual journalists. None of them. I don't care what they fake degrees say, if they have one in it. It's I've said this many, many times. In this day and age, now, especially considering the last 2 years, I put drug dealing and prostitution as far more admirable, honorable occupations than journalism. Because you got to be a slimy motherfucker to be a journalist in this day and age, because it requires you to basically be a piece of shit activist pretending to be a goddamn journalist. And these are some of the most worst people in the world, because a lot of the bullshit that we got over the last 2 years of people's lives was ruined. And I ain't talking because of COVID, because of their fucking lies. Let's say that. And instead of being actual journalists and getting to the bottom of this, they just spread whatever the state wanted them to say. So none of them, be it Cuomo, be it Don Lemon, or any of those fucks over at CNN, are actually journalists. There may be a person or two that, gets on the ground in the event of a heated situation and there's a fire behind them and they say that this is a mostly peaceful protest. I get it. That happens every now and then. Of course, you're going to get people that think of themselves as doing something honorable. But on net and on average, let's say that, most of these guys are just activists who are only covering what they want to cover and are only really existing to be the protection wing of the state or agents of it. Let's say that, because it depends on what party, let's say, they're affiliated and all of that as well. To act like these guys aren't politically motivated is hilarious. Now, would we love journalism to get back? I mean, think about that. Journalism used to be such a honorable thing to do, right? You had even superheroes were like, they built superheroes that would be journalists, off of their, when they were like kind of not doing the superhero thing. It was such an honorable occupation. And now it's just full of slimy pieces of shit that got their own skeletons. I mean, everybody has them, to be fair, but the only thing I guess different here is that they're pretending to be journalists still, and their influence goes very, very far, especially the ones that work for the corporate press. Pieces of shit. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and Odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.